All right, I'm Alexander Edward,
And I'm Tony Boswell.
and we are Minion Death Cult. The world is ending. The world being terrorized by 5-year-olds with autism, a problem that must be addressed by our nation, is responsible, and we are documenting it. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Minion Death Cult for the week. Thank you for tuning in. As always, I would just like to remind everybody that we are a listener-funded independent podcast. You can help support us, help us do this thing by going over to patreon.com/Minion Death Cult, where every week you'll get a bonus episode in addition to this one. We don't run ads. We don't shill for, Bitcoin or boner pills or anything like that. So, maybe you can help us do this thing by supporting us there or spreading the show by word of mouth. Either one, we really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yes, we love you. We couldn't do it without you. Keep on tapping in for those Patreon apps because that's where the world heat's at. We keep telling you that's mixtape Minion Death Cult right there.
For sure. And I do want to note we are recording this on May the 4th, but I will not be engaging in the homophobic and nerd-phobic slogan of May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right to depict Star Wars fans as nerds who have a gay little lisp when they talk. So I won't be saying that to as any form of congratulations or celebration or anything. But we are huge Star Wars nerds on this show. So have you seen Star Wars Light and Magic on, I think it's on Disney, Tony?
No, is it like a documentary about is that what it is? Is it like a documentary about the studio?
Yeah, it's a documentary about Industrial Light and Magic, the effects studio that George Lucas created. And it's, as a Star Wars fan, it's so wonderful to watch because it basically just shows you what a psychopath George Lucas is.
Yeah, awesome. I do want to see that then. I love every clip I can see of him.
It's like it goes into all the crazy model work and technical breakthroughs that these people did as part of ILM in order to get so many different movies made, and just throughout, doing these technological breakthroughs at the behest of George Lucas, telling them they had to do this, and then completing it for $1 billion box office profit, and then not even knowing if George Lucas was satisfied with it until he called them to do the next movie.
Just totally pressed on it. Just like, dude, is that good? Are we gonna get another payday, or does he hate us?
Like one of the main animation computer graphics producers, directors was they made episode 1 and he didn't know if he did a good job until George Lucas called him for episode 2. It's like, okay, I guess it was acceptable.
Yeah, I wonder if George Lucas has a mentality. He's like, well, I didn't say anything, so that's good. I would have let you know if I hate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, silence is a win, is a W.
Just also I knew he had a hand in developing a lot of computer technology. And I knew ILM was this fantastic workshop that had all these monumental sort of breakthroughs, but I kind of didn't know the extent to which George Lucas was forcing digital on everybody else just by sheer force of will and money. He was making everybody adopt digital video, including the physical and stop motion animators and the model makers and all these practical effects people. He told them, he was like, you're gonna die if you don't start learning how to do computer graphics. I'm gonna take money from your family.
God,
so you're gonna be living on the street but then he would just he almost single-handedly decimated entire effects industries, but then also would be Yeah, just go to school. I'll pay for you to go to school to learn how to do it. Or just like go into this department. You work in the computer department now. Go learn
This is your life
computers.
now. Yeah. So you're saying George Lucas is responsible for like the 2 decades of terrible CG we had to deal with?
Yes, and he's responsible for like those entire CGI universes, like where it's just two actors in front of blue screens.
Yep.
And he's like hanging the mission accomplished banner across an episode 2 soundstage with a blue screen, and what's his Ewan McGregor and Samuel L. Jackson back to back in their Jedi robes fighting off imaginary laser blasts with plastic lightsabers, and he's like, we finally did it. We realized my dream of having nothing here. It's beautiful.
An army of people in green suits and pool noodles for them to interact with.
If that, you're lucky if you even got that. They were just all like mocap. Like everybody was mocap in that. Yeah, just such a fascinating man. He's like a benevolent tyrant. He's a benevolent tyrant with like good taste up to a certain point. Like his whole beef with like he like didn't like how Star Wars turned out. That's why he went back and added the digital effects. Like there were physical limitations on George Lucas, which were probably the best things for him and for his artwork, and like helped constrain his imagination into something that looked real and decent, instead of him just having this like, I don't know, this opinion of himself that it's just like, no, I need to have, like he said, the real technology he's waiting for is like a Neuralink that connects his imagination to a computer that he can just like generate the images with his brain. And I'm sure those will look great, George.
Those are going to be awesome. Those are going to be so good. His whole attitude has always kind of been like, he's still, even though it became, a phenomenon, a huge thing, a cultural, shift, he's still like mad that it wasn't well received in the very beginning, that people didn't want to like it in the very beginning. He's like still mad about that. And I think that's why he like just terrorizes everything. And he's like, well, you didn't like it, but I won. And so everything I do is what makes sense. And it is what will win.
Well, he got criticized for the original Star Wars a little bit, but he got criticized like all the way through making it, that this is a movie for babies. Yeah. This is a movie for kids, yada, yada, yada. And then when it was immediately successful, he was like vindicated in that respect, but he also like hated how certain scenes looked and didn't come out right. And everybody's like, we just spent like 8 months doing this thing. You asked us to do it, and you're like going to kill yourself because it didn't like fit, whatever. And so another, I don't know, pretty interesting part of this series is the episode about Jar Jar Binks contemplating suicide, which you get across like two different episodes. Ahmed Best, the guy who voiced and like played Jar Jar Binks, talking about how the reaction made him nearly step off the Brooklyn Bridge. Pretty wild, like, show.
Your words and stuff, they have effects on people. Jar Jar Binks was a real man.
Yeah.
And you guys did that to him.
Yeah, it's like Bart Simpson says on our shirt. Ouch, man. Your comments hurt.
Man. Yeah.
And he was telling Jar Jar and the other people who worked on Jar, like every animator, when they're talking about Jar Jar, is like covering their ass. They're like, oh, we came up with this cool looking alien that was like a hybrid of an alligator and a reptile, or that's the same, similar thing. But, it's a hybrid of these things. And George Lucas just kept saying, make it stupider. And we were like, sir, is this stupid enough? And he was like, stupider. He was like, we need it to be like a Buster Keaton figure. The kids love Buster Keaton.
I keep seeing kids with Buster Keaton shirts, all over print Buster Keaton shirts and Buster Keaton keychains.
And so, Ahmed Best is like, George, I'm going to take my own life tonight. And George Lucas is like, chill. I've been through this before. They hated C-3PO too. You'll be all right.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You're going to be a cultural icon one day. One day there's going to be CGI versions of you. There's going to be, God damn it, what was that website? There's going to be illustrations of you just ripped with a huge dick.
Oh, DeviantArt, yeah.
Yeah, there's going to be DeviantArt images of you out there. Don't worry about it, bud.
Yeah, totally. But anyway, yeah, I would recommend Light and Magic. So it's a very, very good series filled with like a bunch of I don't know, interesting and talented weirdos, and just a mad tyrant at the top of them, making them do whatever he wants. It's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to see that.
So I guess we have to address like the big kind of the big news in socio-political relations and race relations this week, and it's, I think, kind of going to be a big chunk of this episode, unfortunately. But needless to say, a lot going on. Tony, did you see the viral video of a Minnesota woman caught calling an autistic black child the N-word on social media? Did you see this?
I sure did. That was when you see this story, it just gets worse and worse. It's all I saw was like, lady yells at a kid. Lady yells at a kid and calls her the N-word. Lady yells at a kid who was autistic and calls him the N-word. Like, how does it get worse and worse and worse?
Lady raises $600,000 for calling an autistic 5-year-old kid the N-word, which is about what she's at right now. She might be even higher. Yeah, there's been a Give, Send, Go, which is like the non-woke alternative to GoFundMe, started in her name, that is filled with racists from a bunch of different countries congratulating her for finally standing up to mentally disabled 5-year-old children.
That's so wild. These people are fucking sick. They're just freedom of speech warriors. They just want to be, it's freedom of speech is really what this is about.
Yeah, this first reaction here is just that. This guy PNW, Pacific Northwest Gorilla, shares a Studio Ghibli image of the white woman holding her kid and flipping off the camera. And it says, First Amendment is supposed to protect all speech.
God.
And it's like,
everything about this is evil.
Yeah.
The Studio Ghibli, like the woman is, she's kind of a rough looking woman. She looks like, she's probably lived a bit of a life, and this like Studio Ghibli version of like softening white woman, like very safe looking white woman who's also has like a stern look on her face, who's, and I don't know, the whole thing about it, just this whitewashing the whiteness over it too. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's amazing. Shout out ChatGPT. You're the best thing that's ever happened.
Yeah, I'm shocked that they didn't like also AI a husband in there with her, and like a golden retriever and a white picket fence or something like that. Like, they took the Nordic hand tattoos off of her and smoothed out some of what might be meth residue on her skin or whatever. It's funny because like it was a meme, I think like 10 years ago, where it's like, oh, people saying, I'm a First Amendment warrior. That just means you want to say the N-word.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And now they're just at the point where they're like, no, the First Amendment means I want to say the N-word.
That is exactly what I meant. Yeah. Yeah. That's please let me say it.
And it's pretty like weak to be like, well, I'm just defending the right to free speech by sending this woman $500 to say the N-word. Like nobody really believes that anymore. I don't like you guys, that's the downside of being open with your racism, is that you have no plausible deniability anymore. So you're kind of all or nothing. You have to hope that enough people are going to agree with your racism that it makes sense to do it openly and proudly. And we're still not at that point.
Yeah. But luckily, I mean, there is enough anti-blackness where you can raise a little bit of money. Do we know like what what's the money for? I don't think she like lost her job over this or anything, right?
She's claiming she wants to move. She's claiming she wants, like any American, she wants a house and, place to call her own.
Where do you think she's gonna move? You think she's gonna move to like Oregon or like Idaho?
Yeah, Idaho might be. I mean, Florida.
Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. This whole. I'm just a First Amendment. That's why I'm paying somebody to shout slurs at a child.
At a child.
And it's just, I like. Here's another. Yeah. On the YouTube video for the New York Post article about this, it's just flooded with white nationalists. It's flooded with open racists, using, I don't know, like plain speech to say I am racist without saying any slurs, So I guess like theoretically, well, they didn't hit any of the bad keywords, so you can't like delete their comments or whatever, which is absurd. If you see racists organizing and doing racist memes in your comments, I think it makes sense to delete them and ban them or whatever. But everything's run by AI and an algorithm, so they're not getting flagged automatically. YouTube isn't going to pay people to look over this shit. New York Post isn't going to pay people to look over this shit, so it can just go on unabated. But like Sam Jr. here says, since when slurs have more consequences than robbery? And that's the thing, is like there were no consequences from
there
her.
Were zero.
The consequences were people thinking, hey, this lady sucks. And like you alluded to earlier, Tony, I think that's maybe perhaps a reaction that just other people in her life might have had before this video even went viral. It seems just probably par for the course that people would think this lady sucks. So not really like a novel consequence for her, and especially not like a material one that's causing her any hardship or whatever. But you have to pretend. You have to pretend that she's under some sort of attack in order to justify your defense of a woman who is just like reveling in her own inhumanity, reveling in her own like evil.
Yeah. And it's funny too, because like this whole thing is, so she was able to do her little hate speech thing, right? And all that's happening is people are throwing a little hate speech back at her and saying that we hate you, like, and that's
right. And that is hate speech. It's important to remember that is hate speech when you say I hate you to somebody.
And like that's what she wants. Like, it's one of those things. It's like we get to say it too. We get to say we hate you. That's all that's happening. People are just saying we hate you. Like, it's so lucky for her that the things didn't align to where there was maybe somebody else there who could have like maybe thrown hands with her and had her put her baby down. And but all that happened was some words, some comments.
Let me read here from the story. I'm not going to play the video. I'm just going to read from the New York Post. This is like how the fucking psychotic New York Post is like bewildered by this woman, apparently. A Minnesota woman caught on a viral video calling an autistic child the N-word is painting herself as the victim and has raked in more than $500,000 in an online fundraiser after declaring her personal information had been leaked because of the incident. Shiloh Hendricks, I'd be embarrassed too if my name got leaked. Shiloh Hendricks identified her.
I met the best dog ever last night, named Shiloh. He was a Jack Russell pit bull mix. And he looked exactly how you want him. He looked like a fucking cartoon. He was so cute, and his name was Shiloh. So I'm just gonna stand up for the Shiloh. Well, the dog's named Shiloh. This human's named Shiloh. I don't actually care. But
Shiloh Hendricks is a dog's name. There's nothing, And dogs are great. Don't do any hate speech against dogs just because you don't like this woman's name. Shiloh Hendricks identified herself as the mother caught on camera this week hurling the vile slur at a 5-year-old boy she allegedly caught rifling through her bag at a playground in Rochester, about 90 minutes south of Minneapolis. Hendricks can then be seen in the clip turning her ire and profanity on the black man who confronted her and filmed the incident. When Sharmake Omar asked Hendricks if she flung the vile slur at the child, she told him, yeah. The clip showed, quote, he took my son's stuff, she declared. Omar, 30, pressed the blonde woman who was carrying a child on her hip and asked if, quote, digging through her belongings would justify using a racial slur against a child. Quote, if that's what he's going to act like, she said, before repeating the slur several times at Omar while he recorded. Thousands of people online condemned Hendricks for using the hateful language, especially against a child. The boy is autistic, Omar told NBC News, adding his parents, who are from Somalia, were supervising their 3 other children on the playground at the time of the incident. So you can only imagine the additional racism that's been unleashed because the victims are not just black, but Somalian and immigrants. So it's just, there's no possible defense of this child in the mind of the right wing, because not only is he black, not only is he doing normal kid stuff while black, he's also part of an immigrant family. And so you see justifications about this. It's like it's the inverse of, so hanging out with your friends is illegal. The DOJ is going to, get me on fucking conspiracy charges just for having some fun with the boys. It's the opposite of that, where a child digging through an adult's purse becomes a rapist thief, which is what they're calling these people, and say that's why it was justified. How, this woman stood up for herself against a genetic criminal.
And what's amazing about that, though, is that, as someone who's, raising a kid and has been around a lot of kids and stuff like that, there is like different cultural ways in upbringing people, right? And the thing is that 9.5 times out of 10, when a kid walks up to your table and takes a breadstick off the table and walks away, that's gonna be like a toe-headed white kid every single time. And like, this is just the one chance where the kid happened to be autistic, maybe, and like, because every black kid I know, we were raised like, you can't, because they will call the police even when you're 5. You just can't do it. Every video you see of some kid walking up and like grabbing someone's ice cream cone and walking away, or just coming up and just holding someone's hand, those videos, they're white kids every time. Not to be racist, but every time those are white kids. And this is the one anomaly where it's not. It's like that's just kids, though. Kids just, they're innocent. It's so wild that they're like, yep, this kid did it, he must be bad.
Tony does have a bunch of documents, the data that he's collected about the actions of children from various races, that we will be sharing on the Patreon episode this week. If you're curious about the actual numbers, how many categories are there, Tony? Do you just do the standard 3, or do you do, like, you go in the nitty gritty East Asian versus South Asian?
Oh, right now the data points I have are from 27 different categories. A lot of them are Venn diagrams, because obviously, like, interracial kids are, closer to my heart, obviously. So there's a lot of Venn diagrams of that data. It's pretty extravagant.
I do want to see, like, the crosstabs with, like, like albino children, or hazel eyes. Like, what are the criminal tendencies of children with hazel eyes? I'd be curious to find out. So
you will be shocked when you hear about Romanian kids.
Oh yeah, it's okay, cool.
Sorry, what direction you'd be shocked in? I don't know. Your current opinion. I'm not going to tell you the data. That's for Patreon. I will say you will be shocked.
For a second, I thought you said Romani kids, and I was like, "Whoa,
I would never,
dude.
Come on, I'm an ally."
That's fucked up. So I just like this outpouring of support and money for her is really funny to me. Because I think, on the one hand, I do think it's like the worst people in the world actively trying to make the world worse, like actively trying to make other people in the world worse. Like, some of the most antisocial and just hateful unhappy people trying to groom the rest of the world into being as miserable as they are, you know, trying to shift popular opinion or the Overton window into being this like hateful, spiteful creature. But on the other hand, I look at it too as like America is actually so woke that all of our racists are too afraid to say the N-word, so they have to all pay one white woman to say it.
Yeah, and it's funny too because it's, you know, it's still virtue signaling. Like they could be giving this money to actual racist, you know, organizations who are executing actual racism.
Doing the work, yeah.
But they're just they're out here virtue signaling, giving some individual.
Totally. Yeah. You know, and I don't think it's right that burden is put all on this one white woman. You know, it's like that story, The Ones Who Walk Away from O'Malley's. Like, I don't know if I can stand living in the American paradise if it was founded on only letting one woman say the N-word.
Someone should check in on her. She's probably experiencing burnout.
Yeah, but she did get like really good results. You know, she did do the conservative speed run of say the N-word publicly and then get a bunch of money. And, you know, we'll see how far that money gets her. We'll see what ends up happening with her, I guess. One of the things that a lot of these kind of like the racist propagandists, you know, I think they're like probably a lot of young men who are organized by like, you know, racist Twitch streamers and things like that, and you know, different websites and social media feeds. One thing they're like trying to make into a meme right now is fatigue. Speaking of burnout, Tony, is they're trying to say that whites are just so goddamn tired. We're so the whites are tired. The whites are tired, y'all.
Anything. We can't have anything. Like that's incredible. Like we can't have shit.
Like instead of that gif of like the woman with the nails and the cigarette, like with the fucking her hand in her head, it's there's like a sun wheel tattoo on the hand, on the palm face hand.
That's amazing. Like honestly, if the whites are tired, that's a real indictment of the whole system. If the whites are even tired now, jeez.
It's just funny. Like, what are you fatigued about? Like, you're fatigued about your social media feed showing you the ugliest sides of the world every day. Like, you're fatigued of a world that you actively seek out throughout the day because, you know, you're addicted to it and you probably don't have a lot else going on in your life, man. And so it's, and I'm trying to, you know, this is kind of like my first thought of when I see these claims that like diversity or these claims that multiculturalism are such a burden for the white man or whatever. I'm like, I've lived in cities all my life and I've never felt a burden by the existence of other cultures or other people who don't look like me. Like what you're seeing is like local news, crime, fear mongering shit on crack, on like fucking fentanyl, like on just the highest like potency possible. And that's what you're fatigued by. That's like literally log off, bitch. It's like how you're being cyberbullied by the people that you actively follow. Like they're destroying your brain. And the idea that, I don't know, you're fatigued by it or whatever is it's like not, I don't know, it's not a convincing meme for anybody else who doesn't live their entire life in these ecosystems. And I was trying to and I was like, well, isn't that like what Will Stancil and these other liberals were saying about like TikTok, right? That like the left and young people hate Kamala Harris because of TikTok, and TikTok's not real life and yada, yada, yada. The difference is the things that are driving people away from the Democratic Party on the left or from the left, however you say it, are things that are actually happening. Like Israel is actually
Yeah,
conducting
that's
an
real.
ethnic cleansing campaign in Gaza. Like the numbers are there. Now the numbers for your like anti-white Holocaust fantasy are not there. The numbers
Yeah.
that you can point to are that white people aren't having as many babies or whatever, and that's not because they're being told they can't. It's because they can't afford to do it.
Can't exactly the
It's
economy.
got nothing to do with other cultures and all to do with actual material conditions that you've been conditioned not to confront because of anti-communism, because of capitalism in general. That's not a part of. You're not allowed to criticize that stuff under capitalism, so you have to criticize other scapegoats. You know.
No, I actually understand their fatigue because I know in my personal, if I have a day where I like notice a larger police presence, I'm more tired that at the end of that day. My
Mm-hmm.
when I see police, when I see a cop car, whatever, my anxiety spikes. It happens. I can't
Yeah.
help it. It's just what happens, right? Now imagine every person you walk by is probably the police for you saying the N-word. That must be exhausting.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to exist, and I feel I can't exist. They just want to say it, and they feel like someone's gonna pull the phone out. You know,
Yeah.
I'm worried people aren't gonna pull the phone out. Is what I'm worried about.
You being a black man in America is a lot like me as a 63-year-old white woman watching a staged video about an airplane pilot who won't take off his MAGA hat, and a 50-year-old white Karen yells at him in front of everybody, makes him feel bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing. So I understand the fatigue. God, I'm tired is amazing.
This is another thing, like in general they're trying to say about this situation in order to defend the lady saying the N-word, is they're trying to say actually he was 6 inches taller according to my estimates from this photo than your average 5-year-old. Therefore he was probably 10, making it perfectly okay to shout racial slurs at him, I guess.
I
Like
love that
Kiki
they're
here.
like these people are larger. They're built bigger. They're larger, but we're the superior ones. The data's right there, baby.
Well, he's saying that this child is bigger, therefore they're older. He's saying
Oh,
he's
so it's not
not.
actually 5, not
Yeah,
5,
that's why it's 5 years old in scare quotes. 5-year-old.
dude.
There. Look at. Hold on. Just wait.
Yeah.
Like this, Greg Hoyt,
God damn it.
whose name is Greg Hoyt LET on Twitter, says after some brief research, by which he means looking at his phone, looking at the video on his phone, I'm going to go ahead and say that it's highly unlikely the kid at the center of the hashtag Shiloh Hendrix is a 5-year-old. And he's done like MS Paint or like iPhone markup symbols over a still of the child standing on top of the jungle gym and like next to the slide that you ride down. And the slide, like the edge of the slide, the like barrier that's meant to keep kids in the top level of the jungle gym, like the little fence like area, goes all the way up to his chest. Which is like, okay, it seems like it's an appropriate environment for him. They're saying, oh well, the little edge of the play area, it's approximately 38 inches high. And I know that by looking at the video, just kind of estimating.
Yeah.
It's approximate. I'm not going to say it's exactly 38 inches, but it's approximately 38 inches. And they put like a line next to the kid, and it says approximately 50 inches. And then it says the average height of a 5-year-old is 43 inches. 50 inches is the average height of a 10-year-old. So they're saying he's 10, so we should be able to call him the N-word. First of all,
that's the logic behind the whole thing. Is like he's still a little ass kid. I don't care how tall this kid. This is definitely a little ass kid.
Also, when you're dealing with a difference in 7 inches between the 5-year-old and a 10-year-old, Like, how are you going to eyeball that shit? Like, you're so confident in your racism, it like makes you stupid about everything else, you know?
Dude, this shit like terrifies me because like, so the average height of an 11-year-old girl is 4'9" to like 5 foot. Penny's 5'5".
Damn.
And like, so people just think that she's not 11, and it's a scary thing. And like, I feel for these kids. It's like, yeah, it's like these kids who are taller and, you know, bigger, they have to like deal with that their whole. I mean, I did, you know, my whole life, and it's just like it's a scary thing, and it sucks that that's the logic. It's like, no, double digits. That's when you get to be called the N-word. Once you hit that's why we celebrate double digits.
Yeah, like KJ responds here to Greg Hoyt and says, apparently it's okay to call a kid the N-word if he's 10. Noted. Greg Hoyt responds, if a child is 10 and stealing from a toddler, he's a gross bully, not a victim. We're done being tone policed by people who excuse this nonsense. Hey, for people out there who want to judge this woman, the N-word is the language of the unheard. just remember that, exactly. Okay?
Yeah.
That's literally what they're saying. It's like how MLK and other activists justify marching through the streets and sometimes like having face-offs with police that escalate or whatever. Those are the same forces that make me call children racial slurs. You know, sometimes people just they've had enough and they lash out, you know, and we need to like honor their pain, or else it's not going to get better.
It's so incredible too that they think that like so, you know, their worst fear is that every black kid becomes like a violent gang member criminal, and the way to like snub that is to be really racist to them when they're children.
Yeah.
That's going to take care of it. That's not going to, you know, make me embittered. I'm going to have a policy where I'm like, oh no, I only rob white people because they're the ones that called me the N-word when I was fucking 5 years old. Like, what do you think is going to happen here? What is your goal? And that's what he's saying. He's like, we got to speak up. We got to speak up against these 10-year-olds who fucking stole a lollipop out of a toddler's hand, which is like not what happened. There's no corroboration that the kid took something from that toddler. Apparently he was like, yeah, he probably did like look in her bag. He's a 5-year-old kid. He's a 5-year-old autistic kid. He probably like, there's probably something shiny in there. Fuck off.
Yeah. Her phone might've had games in there.
Yeah.
You know, it's very funny that they're doing the meme of like, if you want to know who really controls society, look at who you're not allowed to call the N-word. And it's a 5-year-old child. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there was a joke. Oh, look at who controls society. It's that those who you cannot criticize, like children with cancer or 5-year-olds with autism.
Yep.
Like they genuinely think these are the forces making their lives worse.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so they see that kid exist and they think to themselves, somehow that child is taking something from me. Something I'm missing out on in my life is that kid's fault. This kid is making my life harder by existing.
Yeah, it's her they're taking her compact out of her purse and being like, "What's this?" And she's like, "Stop, thief!" And it's not just like I know what you're saying, Tony, when you say like, "Oh, their worst fear is like a black criminal or whatever," and yet like they're reacting in a way that is not helpful for preventing, you know, bad race relations or, you know, just antisocial behavior in general. But I would take it a step further and say, well, no, their ultimate goal is like not having to worry about whether a black person is a criminal or not by simply putting all of them in prison.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Because it's like, well, if you get this kid arrested and he enters, you know, I mean, they probably would. What state were they in? Fucking Minnesota. Okay. You know, like put this kid in the juvenile detention system or whatever, because he's getting into trouble as a kid. And it's like, yeah, that's a surefire way to create a maladjusted person. That's a surefire way to create somebody who has fewer opportunities than they already did, and therefore even a more reason or less of a reason not to resort to crime. And that's when their answer, if you ask them about this, would be just put them in prison forever.
Yep.
Put them in prison forever from the time they're 5 years old, and then I don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
And that's the genuine answer you're going to get from a lot of these people who are being completely honest and like following their own trains of thought and their own ideologies to their logical conclusions, because we're talking about race being like a not a malleable characteristic. We're talking about race being like an inherent genetic thing here. And so why would you not, if you believed that, why would you not say, okay, all members of this race get in the hole? You know, like that's the logical conclusion towards your own ideology, you know, and I think most people disagree with that, to be honest. And so it sucks for these people that are going to continue to receive abuse and stuff. But, you know, it is, I think, better on average to have these people out in the open, try to say this shit in public and get confronted for it in public. Totally. You know, it's still not safe to say that you can get money on the internet. It's still not safe to say this in person. It's still not conducive to your livelihood or your situation, your social life, your community life, to say this shit in public, you know, and they know that they're trying to push it to that direction, but they're not going to get there.
And on top of that, you know, it's funny too, because not only is not conducive, but it's so audacious, because the thing is, if you have actual like survival instinct, you're not going to go up to some violent thug and call them the N-word. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's audacious on top of that, because they do have the mentality too, that if it's like, well, if you're not going to lock them up, I need to be able to execute justice with impunity out here.
Yeah, I need to be able to police to be the police myself. Yeah. But if you look at this guy, Greg Hoyt, his @ is Greg Hoyt, LET, which when I saw this, I was like, oh, please let this stand for Law Enforcement Today, an outlet that we've covered multiple times on the show. And I was close because it stands for Former Law Enforcement Today.
Okay. All right.
So doesn't work for Law Enforcement Today anymore. I wonder what happened there. But I do love, a guy who works for a law enforcement publication trying to lie and say a black child was actually older than he was in order to justify committing a hate crime against him. I'm shocked. Never in a million years could I have imagined that law enforcement would be associated with an act like that.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's not like that's not a thing that routinely happens. So this is wild. This is the oldest oldest play in the book.
Okay, so I did want to highlight like specific areas of conservatism and how they're reacting to the out and out public praise of a racist, of a woman who racistly assaulted a child, you know, shouted slurs at an autistic child. You know, there's a lot of open racists in the right wing and conservative movement. And that's kind of who we were just talking about. But there's a lot of people who like to think that they're above that, or like to pretend that it doesn't exist in their movement. And so I thought it would be very interesting to see how certain segments of the right are reacting to this. Segments like libertarians. Clint Russell from the Liberty Lock pod, it's like a popular podcast, I guess. This is what he's going with.
Love it.
If I were an intelligence agency trying to start a race war in America, I'd donate $500,000 to a black kid who stabbed a white kid in the heart. And then I donate $100,000 to a white lady that called a 5-year-old autistic black kid the N-word. Like, okay, so this is the comparison a lot of people are making, is that, well, white people just got so upset that, what was the kid's name? Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah.
I just got so upset that kid got money for his legal defense that I had to donate to the N-word lady just to make it even. Yep. because I think because killing is wrong. Saying the N-word is wrong, but killing is worse. And I will say, yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Taking a life is worse than a slur. However, if somebody is defending themselves after a physical altercation and gets lucky and kills that person with one blow or one strike, that is a different situation than antagonizing a 5-year-old with racial slurs that are like from your heart. Like if Carmelo Anthony had said "die cracker" as he did it, that would be like, I don't know, bring it to a different situation. But that's what a lot of these people are using to justify it, is that, well, other black people raised money based on their like problems with a racial situation, or however they want to vaguely describe it to make them seem similar. I don't think either one is right. He says, I'm not saying that's what's happening. So an intelligence agency. It was actually the CIA who made all the right-wing racist, I think, is possibly the answer here. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I'm just saying that's a really easy 1-2 punch to piss everybody off. After the George Floyd Summer of Love, I really hope people are smart enough not to get sucked into this shit. So he's doing what's that guy's name? Conceptual James. I think it's that guy. He's doing like the Conceptual James thing of trying to call Nazis woke.
Yeah.
Where he's like, it's actually no worse to be a Nazi than it is to be a freaking communist. Like he's trying to do that with his own side. He's trying to say, oh, you remember everybody who got upset and who was like racist against white people because of George Floyd, and all the white right wingers are like, I totally remember. I remember being targeted.
I have
after
PTSD from it, actually.
Yeah. He's saying that's what you're doing now by supporting this lady or whatever. And it's like, not to relitigate all this shit, but it's like the George Floyd protests were because a fucking government agency kneeled on a man's neck until he died in public in front of everybody. And like, as a libertarian, you're already starting from the position of that was crazy that people got upset about that. That was a psyop. It was a psyop that people got upset about a cop slowly executing somebody in the street. And everybody got there, and it's like, so already as a libertarian, you're fucking failing. Like the one thing that libertarians can have is that they're rightfully against the police state and like rightfully pro free movement of people across borders. Those are and pro abortion. And it's just, you fail on all these things because you're not a libertarian. You're just a fucking right winger. You're just a right winger who's too embarrassed to call yourself a right winger.
Yeah, because if libertarians weren't Christian nationalists, they would be on point. They would be good, but they never are. They always have this. They always have these other motivations that are, largely steeped in racism.
Well, they wouldn't be necessarily good, because I still think we do need a strong government to make sure that all the libertarians don't do racism. So I don't think they're 100%, but there is like an argument for like left libertarianism or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
But you're starting off from, hey, remember how freaking psycho everybody was when they supported George Floyd just for being murdered by the police or whatever? That's how you guys are acting now. And it's like, I wonder how this is going to turn out for you, bro. This guy, Dr. R Word, says the guy filming is a Somalian pedophiles and there is no autistic 5-year-old, but agree it's a good start for a race war. So he's like, it is a good start for a race war, and I'm glad, because I want the race war.
Yeah.
And this is what a lot of people are pointing to. They're attacking the guy who was video recording the encounter because they've found somebody who has the same name, apparently in this screenshot. I didn't bother fact checking any of this, who was accused of like a crime or something like that was never prosecuted for it, that it was like dismissed. But everybody's just calling him a pedophile and calling him a convicted pedophile in order to what he used his pedophile skills to make a fake video of the white woman screaming the N-word. Like what does that have to do with anything?
I mean, and also like call me crazy or whatever, but I think the last thing that a pedophile is going to do is break out his phone and make it go viral that he was at a playground. I don't think that's the move. I think that's probably a bad move.
Well, a lot of people are saying he was at the playground because he's a pedophile. And I think that's so funny because this is like a public park that has a playground in it. And it's just like, so now your argument is that anybody who is like outside touching grass is a pedophile. Yeah. Like is potential for being a pedophile. Like, no, it's no wonder you're fucking miserable. It's like, it's like beyond, oh, well, we can't have welfare because a black person might get welfare. We can't even have like a tree because a pedophile might enjoy that tree.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's also like if your moral code is so abhorrent that a pedophile's like, this is wrong, you're probably you're probably doing something off here, you know.
Yeah, you got like successfully shamed by a legend.
Yeah.
I'm not repeating, but anyway, so this guy Dr. R Word just says all this fake shit. He wasn't a 5-year-old. The video photographer was a pedophile. Also, if you notice the color shade of blue, I think this was actually occurred on a different planet. So Clint responds, "Fair enough. I still think the slurs can be spared on children, LOL." So he's trying like, hey, LOL, this is kind of fucked up, isn't it? LOL. Right?
Yeah, lolly lols. We still shouldn't call 10-year-olds slurs either.
Clint says, I don't think it's healthy for a civilization to randomly turn people into millionaires for calling a kid a racial slur, but I'd be lying if I didn't admit it's hilarious. So this is like the first step in his transformation, in his next transformation. Yeah. He starts off saying, "Oh, this is a psyop, and actually, nobody could possibly be this racist, especially not the right wing. This is just meant to divide and conquer." And a guy comes in and he's like, "No, I'm dividing us.
Yeah, no,
I'm dividing us with these lies that I'm showing you right now." And Clint's response to that is, "Oh, well, fair enough. I guess you're right, but can we still not say the slurs? LOL." But with the LOL, he's already laughing about the slurs. Like he's already made it. He's already like detached himself from the reality of the situation successfully enough to that he can still punt like post about it. He can still like grift on it. He can still riff on it, but more like in line with what his audience requires of him. And now he's just saying, "Oh, it's funny. I think it's funny now."
It's funny though.
Heuristic Brisket, because again, Clint says, "I don't think it's healthy to randomly turn people into millionaires for calling a kid a racial slur." Heuristic Brisket replies, "I donated." The gal had a 5-year-old trying to steal toys from her diaper bag and gets beset upon by a convicted. He's a convicted pedo now. Gets beset upon by a convicted pedo trying to trap and shame her from his phone. And Clint says, "Well, feel free. The doxing and threats are obviously uncalled for." Yeah, so feel free to donate to the campaign that I said it was unhealthy to donate to. And I agree with you that she has suffered.
Yeah. I just love this whole thing where it's like they're doing this, but these are the same people that probably hate handouts, right? Like, so you're gonna go ahead and give this lady money just because she had like a minor inconvenience in her life. You're gonna give her money. Like there's bigger inconveniences in life, like losing your job and stuff. Like that's where social welfare comes in handy, and you probably hate that.
These people are against a systemic allocation of resources that could uplift an entire people or an entire generation of people. But they are for individualized donations to racist causes in
Yes.
the private sector.
Yeah.
There's nothing incongruous with libertarianism and you giving $1 million to the most racist person you can find on the internet. Like, that's the free market. That's like why these people love it. It's because you can do stuff like that.
And it is a handout because, you know, she doesn't need you to give her money. She could just like start a podcast. She can go on Kill Tony, and the punchline would be her calling a 5-year-old autistic black boy an N-word. And like, she can make the money herself, but you're just going to give it to her?
Yeah, how's she going to get better at being racist if you just like don't feed the bears? You know what I mean? She's got to learn to say these slurs on her own. And then, yeah, here's like one of the most recent posts from Clint Russell. He posted a video of a guy doing double Dutch jump rope and captioned it, "Me and the homies walking into the bank after calling your toddler the N-word." And so he's successfully like figured out how to compartmentalize it in his mind. If I just keep joking about it, then I won't have to grapple with the fact that everybody else means it for real. That everybody else is 100% serious when they post, "I like calling 5-year-old boys the N-word."
Yeah. That's good. At least he's pretty self-aware in this one. I like that one.
Mr. Lead Slinger comments, to be honest, if you knew what you were doing, you'd donate $1 million to the white lady. And Clint says, "It's only day 2. Give it time." So again, just like refusing to interact with any of these people who are obvious racists, who are obviously supporting racism, because he has far too much in common with them to let a little thing like absolute hatred of minorities get in the way of their project.
He's also like, "It's only day 2. I got a couple more viral tweets I got to get out there. Hopefully I'll have $1 million I can donate to her if this continues."
All right. So another area of right-wing thought I wanted to explore, because this is a big story. You know, it's permeating all of right-wing social media spaces. Another type of conservative guy I had to see the reaction to, and I think Tony was pretty interested in this too, is the reaction from black conservatives about a overtly racist white woman raising $600,000 for calling a black kid the N-word in public. This is a post from CCG Bryson. The CCG stands for Can't Cancel God.
Oh, facts. Period. That's on period. You can't cancel God.
Bryson, his ad is Real Bryson Gray, and people might remember this guy as being one of the sides in the beef over who had the original Let's Go Brandon song.
Oh, yeah.
It was like him against Forgiato Blow. Who won that one? Who got the copyright? I don't remember.
I think that the government's biggest fear happened. I think they came together over it. I think there's a picture of them shaking hands, and it's the biggest fear of the government.
CCG Bryson posted on Twitter, "The powers at B," okay, "powers at B are doing a great job with this quote race war on the internet. I didn't know the same methods could brainwash so many people that think they're different. I never thought Satan was unintelligent, though. The love of many will grow cold." I love this so much. Like, signing up for a movement that is obviously anti-black, that is obviously like anti-poor people, that is obviously like pro-criminalizing every single fucking person in this country. And you're just like, wow, people have been brainwashed to be 1 degree more hateful than I was a week ago. It's sad. It's sad to see how far we've fallen.
When I see these people, these black conservative grifters, like I have to chalk it up to like just greed, because I don't want to attribute this to malice, because this guy's over here saying like, listen, we're like not that different, and all the people are like, Oh no, I'll call your kid the N-word.
Yeah. At how Dize replies, it's not the quote powers that be stoking this. It's literally you when you tribally defended and excused Carmelo Anthony stabbing Metcalf. So apparently there was some drama that we missed when we covered there's a lot of stuff to cover. But when we covered the stabbing, apparently CCG Bryson made the fatal error of coming out for a stand your ground defense when it's a black kid.
Ooh, yeah. If you're gonna keep this grift on, you gotta just maybe be quiet on those issues. Let those ones go.
So I think he's been probably dealing with a lot more overt racism since he dared to say that we should let a trial or the evidence determine whether or not like a fight was premeditated murder, whatever the argument is supposed to be. And they were like, I'm sick of playing with you.
Yeah.
Like, you're cool when it comes to hating gay people. Like, you're cool when it comes to using the Bible and using like boomers, fascination with the end times in order to hurt gay and trans people. But you're supposed to hurt black people too, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
You got to stay consistent with that. Like, we love it when you do come out against black people, but the whole thing is we need you to come out against all of them, including yourself.
Yeah, CCG Bryson's bio says God first, Bible rap. CCG equals can't cancel God. And he's got 356,000 followers on here. Probably not as many as Forgiato Blow, I bet.
No way, because Forgiato Blow has that dime piece of a wife now. So Forgiato Blow is popping. Man, Bryson kills me. That shit just breaks my heart. Like, you fucking loser.
Okay, so this guy is the founder of Black Guns Matter. Remember when this guy owned all of Black Lives Matter and black people by starting Black Guns Matter? Tony, you remember that?
I hate it. I hate it so much. Like, I do remember that.
Well, now the guy who fucking founded a company called Black Guns Matter to make fun of Black Lives Matter, he just noticed all this racial divide that's being pushed. What the hell? His name is
from
Maj Toure. He's at Maj Toure 999 on Twitter. I had about a 45-minute call with Lisa a few weeks back about the racial divide being pushed. The example I shared was, quote, the boat analogy from the movie, quote, The Dark Knight with the late Heath Ledger. Here's what that analogy means. Do you want to watch this video?
We need to watch this video because I don't understand what the analogy means.
Yeah, I'm not understanding. Divide, conflict, Batman, what?
What's happening here?
How could you possibly explain something as, I don't know, as simple as anti-blackness with such a rich, complex narrative like in The Dark Knight? We'll see.
I'm looking at them say things like fucked up racist shit, and I don't mean just like call everything racist because you don't like that they voted for Trump. I mean like
that's so fucking good. I love that part so much. Hey, I noticed some racism, and now I know that I made a career off of saying that racism was fake, so I'm not talking about the fake racism that doesn't exist. I noticed there's like real racism. That's crazy.
Actual stuff happen out there, like hard racism.
Monkey maker chip, all of this stuff, whatever, right? And it made me think about the movie Batman with Heath Ledger. It was
duh. It's the first thing I think about when I think about the plight of a black man in America. I think right away. I think about Dark Knight.
To be fair, Heath Ledger was code switching when he did the Joker.
So real. Well, I don't know who is code switching better, him or Two-Face. I love it. You ever think that racism is kind of like the Joker.
You want to know how I got this low trust society?
The scene in the movie where there was regular civilians and a bunch of on boats, civilians on one boat and convicted criminals on another boat, and they was trying to get them out of there because things was going crazy, but they weren't too.
That's right. Things were going pretty
It
crazy
was
in that movie.
pretty nuts.
Ferries going across the river or whatever, and the Joker got into the comms and said, "Hey, listen, there's a box, and that box has a detonator."
There's so many cuts to this. He's just literally trying to save the one scene from The Dark Knight with the two boats where they're given the detonators for each other's boats and they have to decide whether or not they're going to detonate each other's boats. And he's taking like 3 minutes to try and set up this scene.
Blows up the ship that y'all can see over there. And there's also a detonator on the other.
He's also doing this in a restaurant, in like a live restaurant. You can hear like there's people working and eating around him, and he's detailing the fucking plot of The Dark Knight in order to make an analogy about racism.
Yeah, doing this in public is like a whole other layer. Like I like, you know, I'd be taking pictures of my food and shit, but there's still a bit of embarrassment when I'm doing that. There's still a bit of shame when I'm, you know, pulling my phone out in public like that. And to do not just like a public thing, but a public monologue on The Dark Knight is just, I'm calling the cops. You're doing that next to me, I'm calling the police.
I mean, to be fair, he looks like he's 35 years old, but you know, he's black, so he's probably just like a 15-year-old kid excited about The Dark Knight, and we're being racist by thinking he's a weird adult man talking into his phone. Wow, yeah, you would be embarrassed by doing this, Tony. It's crazy that the black guy who created the company Black Guns Matter doesn't have any shame. It's kind of odd.
Can I tell you something? I kind of just assumed the whole time that Black Guns Matter was started by a white guy who was talking about guns that were black.
That is like the meme, I think, but he I can't remember if he did like well, the meme is Black Guns Matter, and it has a black rifle on it.
Yeah.
So that's like why he did it. Now, he might have also had like photo shoots of me and my black conservative friends at the gun range, and we can pretend like we might also be saying black gun owners matter. We can pitch that out to either like people who are worried about looking racist or people who are stupid enough to think that this isn't like a racist project or whatever. But I think primarily it is a joke about the fact that guns are black and scary.
Yeah.
You know, like, they're discriminating against my gun just because he's black.
Obviously, I'm very pro black gun ownership. You know, it's like it's a shame. I just assumed it was a white guy behind this the whole time.
That's fair. Yeah, totally.
Other side, and that detonator can blow up your boat. There's somebody over there that has a detonator, just like you got a detonator, and you can blow this side up.
For a full minute.
The goal was to get them so riled up that they hit the detonators.
His goal was to get them so riled up, Tony, that they would hit the detonators. His goal wasn't his goal wasn't reliant on like the average person's disdain and total dehumanization of prisoners, of people in the prison system. It was just, they were just trying to get them all riled up so they'd get all riled up and push a button.
And God bless the dead, Tiny Zeus Lister was one of the people that was on the like felon, like the criminals boat. And he saw the people, they were having arguments about, no, they this, they that, and just fighting back and forth. And the
Just
one guy was like, I'll do it. And
he's just like, he's like making stuff up that didn't happen in the movie.
Yeah.
Really
is he gonna God bless the dead for every dead character we see? Or is he gonna do that again for Heath?
He did. I don't know. He said late Heath Ledger. I don't think he blessed him up though.
he took the detonator from the guy and said, I know you can't do it, but I can. And he took it from him not to blow the other boat up of civilians, but he took it from him to not be responsible for that death. Because there was a lot of death that person, whoever hit that detonator, would be responsible for.
Yeah, he didn't want them to have the like burden of being responsible for the deaths of other. That's also the way I looked at that situation. You know, killing people is bad, but like carrying that burden also very bad. Something
Also
you
very
don't want to
stressful.
have to carry. I love how he's talking like he's giving a sermon on the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And both sides of the boat just stopped for a minute and thought and went, well, if they blow up our side, then they're going to do it. But I'm not going to be the person responsible for blowing up the other side. In that moment, when they will be frenzied into fear and blowing up something because the other side is out to get them, what happened that was so amazing?
Also, this is kind of beside the point. The beard is no good, bro.
It's not good. No.
Like
No.
it's too thin. You can't have it that long. All you got to do is trim it close and it'll look great. It'll look fantastic. You have like insane, like gnarly thin mess coming off of your chin that does not look good.
What sucks, what this beard is, and this whole presentation is, this is a way to like try to present white or white accessible, and in trying to have like the long like rough beard, because you get caught up in things like length and you're not worried about quality. If this was like a well kept beard, if it like looked good and was trimmed up, that would be too black presenting. And I'm being dead serious here. That paired with the backwards trucker hat, this medium shirt with the American flag on it, this is all very much to present like, hey, other white man, I'm a safe black guy who you could probably chum it up with. That's what this beard is for.
For sure. Well, I will speak to 4 white men and 2 white men. You don't get to have a beard like this either.
No,
if you're
no.
like your beard has to be a certain fullness to justify the length. I'm sorry, that's just like the way it is, and it's not fair. You just got to trim it closer to your face. You could still have the beard. Don't have the scraggly little gnarly shit ends coming off your like 5 inches off your face. No.
The rule is simple. You can't see through it. If you can see through it, it's got to go.
Yeah. Very easy.
Amazing was they just stopped and they thought about it and they evaluated what their principles actually were, meaning Zeus and the other civilian on the other boat, and the Joker expected both of them to blow the boats up because that's what he wanted. Both of those sides heard the Joker's voice over the intercom.
It is like he's retelling a story from the Bible and the Joker's the devil.
Yeah.
Like that is exactly what's happening. And then the moral of the story, Tony, is just don't. Hey, when you think about doing racism, just don't.
Just don't do it.
Just cut it out.
That's what the Joker wants you to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's anything more to
and
this
there's a
video.
guy, he's like, that's what the Joker wants you to do. And then some guy with ha 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 tattooed all over his face donates $20,000 to that woman.
Back to some screenshots here. Tim replies to this video, none of this racial division even feels real. First, it was the white folks. ... What do you think he means by that, Tony?
He's trying to piss off the white folks. Is that what he's saying? Trying to piss off the white folks with the stabbing?
Yeah, he's saying that the racial division was levied against the white folks first.
Yeah.
And now they are attempting to enrage the black folks. It feels scripted. It is crazy. It is crazy how racism was invented against white people back during George Floyd. And like black people happily participated in that anti-white racism. And it's like, now look what happens. Finally, racism is now starting to affect black people.
Yeah, it's coming back. It's coming home to roost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like ourselves.
Yeah, like when you were developing Mayo Monkey and Cave Cricket, like you didn't know that those were tools that could then be used by anti-black racists too. They came up with their own Mayo Monkey, and it's the N word.
When you're a victim of race, when you put on racism, you're creating a future victim in yourself.
I love this so much. None of this racial division even feels real. First, it was the white folks. First they came for the white folks and I didn't say anything, and now they're coming for the black folks, and there's no one to say anything for them, you know.
I never thought it would happen. I mean, Obama, I never thought this was going to happen.
Dave W says, I can't believe the support she's getting. I'm hoping it's not real. Why would anyone celebrate an adult verbally abusing a child? Good question. Seems like something that's very bad for society, just in general.
Yeah.
Even take the race stuff out of it. It seems completely awful, demonic, even. Heart to Heart replies, a fool and his money are soon parted.
There you go. Get their ass.
That is, I think, such a good criticism of all these people out there who are just stupid and foolish enough to donate to a white woman saying the N-word. You know, it's just like some people just have too much money. You know what I mean? It's like they could have bought a Cybertruck, but instead they donated to the Aryan lady.
I didn't even want to like think about it that way, but now I can't help it. I'm so mad that you know, I'm struggling and this woman just has $500,000 now.
Yeah, I think it's like 600,000 actually.
Oh, sick. Maybe I should ask. I should see if maybe she wants to kick me down a little bit.
Yeah, you could like set up another video. She could pay you out afterwards. A fool and his.
If you want to go do some more racism, I'll come do it. I'll help you out.
Yeah. So see, when CCG Bryson posted his thing, another black conservative commentator, pundit, podcaster, Zuby, replied to him. Says, I see it from a distance online. It's obviously manufactured.
Yep. This isn't real.
This couldn't be real. I've felt nothing but welcome in the right-wing movement as a black man.
I've met so many nice white people.
And if you if you go to Zuby's page, it's posts like, if you work hard, lift weights, and stack Bitcoin, you'll end up in the 1%.
Are you there, Zuby? Which one are you not doing? Which one are you missing? Is it the Bitcoin you're not doing?
So it's like I don't know why racism is proliferating. Everybody, including white people, should be doing so well if they just buy enough Bitcoin. They won't have to worry about, their prejudices against black people or whatever they perceive to be like inherently criminal racial minority.
Actually, Zuby, they are doing that, and that's why they have extra money to donate to this woman.
And then another couple posts from Zuby. Zuby says, overdosing on politics makes people dumber and less humane over time. And I agree, Tony. It's just too much politics. You know, when you follow the overtly white nationalist streamers and other Facebook pages devoted to fucking phrenology, devoted to hating women, it's just too much politics. Just, kind of they need to stop paying attention to all that stuff.
Honestly, like, keep politics out of my bigotry, like they shouldn't mix. Like, I just want to be hateful over here. I don't want to like bring politics into it.
Yeah. It's not about left versus right. It's about free speech.
Yeah. Hello.
And then Zuby's most recent post did some more tourism in Abu Dhabi today. The world is a big place. It's good to see it. And it's him taking photos in castles and shit in Middle Eastern theocracies. Wow, interesting.
That sucks. You suck, Zuby.
It's crazy. Wow. I hate when the powers that be try to instigate, racial hatred and try to paper over racism and stuff like that. Anyway, I just took a brief trip to Saudi Arabia,
no big deal.
where like, I don't know, probably like half of his funding comes from, I would imagine.
Yeah, that would make sense. That's crazy. This guy sucks. Go see it. Go see the world. Go see Abu Dhabi.
I love being like, God, racism and politics are so hurtful. I'm going to go to the oil theocracy that is one of the like main pillars that is burning this world to the ground. Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful. Everybody should come here.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna probably call the episode here. We spent a lot of time on this, but it's so wild for me to hear these people. Like, it seems like every 5 years you get the current generation of conservative grifters splitting off into people who are like, whoa, there's a ton of racists here, actually. I was
Yeah.
just trying to like get some money, and I was just trying to, I don't know, ignore the little racism, but it seems like that made it worse. It seems like ignoring and pandering to it might have made these people even more evil. And then you get the other half of the conservative commentators just becoming Nazis, just becoming
outright.
overt white nationalists. And it's just this cycle that we've kind of been, I think, seeing over and over. And it's always especially delightful to see it happen to, particular like contrarian commentators and people who try to like actually gaslight people into thinking that racism isn't real before finally being forced to admit, oh, I guess it's kind of pretty real.
I think now's a good time for like George Soros to do a little recruiting. Maybe he can get one of these guys to do like from right to left grift, and then he can fund that because they already have a bit of a platform. A real opportunity for the squad over here. We can get some people drafted over here.
Yeah, Zuby, why I write the right? It doesn't work like that. I got to think of a different way to say it, but yeah, I know I will be looking forward to that. If you want to look forward to more episodes of Minion Death Cult, please go over to patreon.com/Minion Death Cult. $5 a month gets you a bonus episode every week delivered straight to your podcast app or browser. We got a pretty wild midweek episode for everybody this week. We're about to record it. It's going to be a fun, bizarre one. So thank you to everybody who supports the show. We are getting merch out to people as we speak. So be on the lookout for that. You should get an email with a confirmation of shipping, I think, depending on how Tony's doing it. That's how it always happened when I did it. So if Tony's like as good as me, I guess it'll happen. We'll see. But yeah, thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you again soon, folks. Bye.
Peace.